Yo, what's up? This is your boy Postman, and you're tuned in to Post and a Diary Room. Welcome to Post and a Diary Room. And as you may know, every day is a good day to get a delivery from the Postman. And of course, if this is your very first time tuning in, please kindly like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever is necessary to engage with the content, and most importantly, enjoy the review, because today I am reviewing the latest offering by the Qwellers titled Egalini. Now, this is of course a project that comprises of 17 tracks and has a runtime of around 51 minutes in total. This project comes after the release of their previous body that dropped in 2023, and the project at the time that dropped in 2023 was of course titled Super Qwellers. It was just a Scooby snack in the sense that it was an EP. It wasn't too long. It had joints like Crook, Broke, and yeah, those types of joints, as well as Bekleza. It was more of like them introducing themselves to the fold as a collective, and I guess after that they then had decided to release their double disc album titled Egalini. It's a very special moment, especially when you consider the groups that have existed in South African hip hop, and one of the biggest ones that didn't get this far in as far as releasing a project together is none other than the Wrecking Crew, which was a very big collective once upon a time, and they didn't capitalize on the moment of them coming together as a collective and dropping a record of this nature. The cover specifically is one of my favorite covers of all time. I like the cover and I like how it looks. I like the detail in as far as the clothing and how simple it is in a sense, because when you look at it, there's a lot of symbolism, and what I derive from the symbolism in as far as the cover is concerned is that the guys themselves are pretty young, and it's just evident of the fact that the game right now is relatively young, and the front runners of South African hip hop right now are of course the young niggas. These are niggas who are probably still in school, whether it's high school or even tertiary, but these are young niggas who are at the forefront of South African hip hop, and they still have school smelling, yeah, in their breath, in a sense, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I derive from the cover. It's more of a statement. Going into the project in itself, the project is balanced with their vibe joints that deal with themes like the vibes, them, their recent success, who they are, them being him, and all of those things. Like, and in that specific part of the project, which is side A, which is the first stint of the project, on that stint specifically, they stayed pretty much true to their sound, which is the sound known as Isqinsi, and that's the sound that they stayed true to, and that's the sound that a lot of their fans know them for, and that's what they dished out in as far as the first part of the project. Judging by joints like 4-5 Rings, Kekela, Mengiza, Ikopozi, CV, and those are joints that a lot of them are the consistent type of sound, and that's the sound that we know them for. While side B explores the theme of love, these are like love joints that are catered to the women, the guys who are in love, and anyone who's coming in and out, like who's either in a relationship or just stepped out of a relationship, or is in a relationship that's currently in limbo type of thing. So that's what I derive from the two projects specifically, just looking at them in hindsight as far as the sonics of the projects are explored. My favorite would have to be obviously side B. I like how side B comes along with writing letters down to Kipita, which is actually my favorite song. I thought the Hood Hope on that one was absolutely amazing, alongside Blue Papi as well as La Cabra. And also I do like the contrast in the minimal use of production elements, particularly on the first intros. And what I mean by intros, there's the first song that introduces side B, which is of course writing letters. When you think about it, the song just has keys just playing around at the back, making the vocals stand out, and in turn invoking something well within the listener, whether it's the deep message that the song has, or them feeling a particular way from just listening to Blackie and the Qwellers on this particular song. I think this is a beautiful intro. And then also you do have that first one that is the Qwellers chant. Yeah, the Qwellers chant was also very different, particularly on side A. And that one, in my opinion, was also different in the sense that there's also like minimal use of production elements, where there you just hear a lot of these raw, sounding like drums that sound very raw, and the guys are just rapping. And at the same time, what it took from them rapping out there was them also laying to rest the narrative that suggests that they're not really rappers. They're just all about the trapping. I thought some of their verses out there were very, very amazing. Because, I mean, at the same time, also, it was just them freestyling. And also, like I said, they were laying the narrative to rest. Yoguti, they're not rapping. Because I can name a lot of cats in the game right now that would not be able to rap on a drum beat kind of thing. So it's very exciting for me to review because one of the things that I picked up from the guys is that they sound very seasoned. They sound very seasoned. They're not just making songs for the sake of making them anymore, because at least in the entry it sounded as though they were just making songs for the sake of making them. And also this was coming at the back of them just dropping every week. There were a lot of joints that would just be swept under the rug because they were just either playful or either they didn't have a lot of subject matter that would stick. But also, most importantly, it was just not enough for the people to just sit with and try to understand. At the same time, there wasn't much to understand. The best guest appearance throughout this whole particular project would have to be Kindly Nash. Honestly, I feel like joints like Ikobozi as well as CV are those joints that are quite forgettable, particularly because of how they sound and the fact that they actually do ruin that full track run that came before the two joints in question. Also, when you look at the contribution that is made by Sasti, I think the play on his vocals sometimes gets too like uncomfortable, makes the listening experience very uncomfortable. And yeah, like it has a bearing cost to the listening experience because it's like it's very heavy on the listener, especially for me in particular, because I feel like it gets too much. I think sometimes also stylistically they miss the moment of using that particular sound, because I feel like especially with that kind of beat, it didn't need that because the beat is also as busy, and the vocals and the verse and the contribution then makes it busier and in turn not easy to listen to because of all these things amalgamated into one. And yeah, it makes the listening experience for me a bit questionable. But the only two joints that I don't really like in as far as side A is concerned are Eco Pose as well as the CV, to be quite honest. So I think the Quellfontaine freestyle to even end off side A was pashash for me because it leaves the project on a high. Because also when you think about how the project actually started, it started with um, the Qwellers chants basically building the momentum, and then like the Quellfontaine freestyle leaves it on the high, and the guys out there are actually rapping. What I like about the Quellfontaine freestyle specifically is the fact that all the guys are attacking the beat in their own unique ways, in their own unique flows, but also there is no beat break that renders that break that I'm talking about. The way like now there's like a space in between. Nah, I honestly enjoy side B more than side A, specifically because side B has more of a focus, and side B is able to move you and it leaves you with something. It has a lot of substance that you can take away from, and the guys are also as invested in as far as the context is concerned. So that's why I actually enjoy side B. And side A is more of like the vibes. Side B is more like them just telling a story that is like clear, concise, and also the consistent theme, and also the mix of the textures, whether it's like the Afro texture, whether it's like a texture that has a feel of umzongongo, or it's like an R&B full-blown type texture. I actually enjoyed a lot of those cuts. The guys themselves did not rely too much on the features. Like the guys were able to go toe to toe with whoever the feature was on a particular song, whether it was Kindly Nash, whether it was KO, whether it was Henny B Lit, whether it was Blackie. There was some sense of them complimenting the act that is maybe bigger than them or way more experienced than them, but the levels are not too much, and it says a lot if you ask me. I think the KO feature for me was not really needed because it didn't change anything. It didn't shift the needle at any point of the song. I guess it was pretty much necessary, for them, at least, full circle moment, I actually appreciate that and I respect it. But I don't think it made a difference because side B is as solid as possible to the point where whatever KO did, or his contribution rather, was quite forgettable. Long term, that verse can actually benefit their whole career as like a collective because it can open even more doors. To me, this is a solid debut, balanced with like the vibes, balanced with the love joints. Yeah, it's a balanced project, but I wouldn't recommend looking at it from that linear approach because I think side A serves a specific purpose and then side B serves a particular purpose. So listening to it like this with the flat out approach is gonna make your listening experience not nice. But also, I don't think there was a lot of this collective chemistry as one would expect because of many other reasons. I think the project has a lot of individual brilliance than the collective chemistry, but I think the project in itself is well curated. The creative curation is actually there, it's clear. And so I think this project for me has replay value, to be clear. Also, it depends which part you actually like. But looking at it as a project from start to finish, yeah, it does have replay value and a couple of skips, but I think the part that I'm replaying quite a lot is obviously side B, and I think the production is actually great. The placements of the likes of Her Cut the Lights are crazy, and full circle for the guys specifically. And I think the project also is a mouthful and is long, but there's a lot of gems there that have potential, and let's see what they do. I'm expecting a lot of visuals from the Qwellers, and I'm expecting them to go crazy again with the performances and the just pushing of this particular project, because I do think there's like a lot of potential here. So this project for me gets a 7 out of 10. The Qwellers' new project titled Egalini gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Post in the diary room, please kindly like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever is necessary to engage with the content, and most importantly, I will see you on the next one.